Halo Infinite's campaign has been a blast for many longtime fans of the series as well as newcomers to the franchise. My first playthrough was on Heroic and I really enjoyed it, since it wasn't too challenging, but it wasn't a cakewalk either. For my second playthrough though, I wanted to really challenge myself. So I figured I'd try Legendary. But the thought of replaying the entire campaign with the only difference being stronger enemies seemed kinda boring to me. So I added a twist. I decided to try and beat the Halo Infinite campaign on Legendary without ever shooting a single weapon. Here's what happened. I started up a new Legendary game, and since I was playing this on mouse and keyboard, I immediately changed my keybind for shooting. I thought by switching it to middle mouse button, I would avoid any misclicks. In my head, this was a great idea. In practice though... What?
He killed everyone. I know.
Cut that out, y'all didn't see anything. Yeah, I ended up swapping it back. After that little incident, I fought through the warship and reached the control room that had a bunch of brutes in it. While fighting these brutes, I developed a neat strategy that would carry me through the rest of the game. If you grapple onto an enemy, they will instinctively brace themselves. Combining this with a plasma or spike grenade allowed me to get free sticks without the risk of whiffing and wasting any grenades. So, by utilizing this grapple nade combo and some fusion coils lying around, I destroyed both cooling pipes, overloaded the engines, and ran back to the Pelican and our pilot friend. The second mission actually wasn't that hard, but I died a lot. Not because of any enemies, just because I'm kinda stupid.
It's not safe. Pull back. Okay.
Listen, this is where we are introduced to the weapon, a Cortana clone who, for some reason, has very detailed teeth. I'm sorry, that just really bothered me when I played through this game the first time. Like, why we gotta see her teeth that well? Like, ugh. But anyway, things would be pretty uneventful for the rest of the mission until I faced the first boss, Tremonius. In order to prepare for him, I preemptively brought in some extra fusion coils from outside of the battlefield since it locks you in as the fight begins. I should also note that throughout this playthrough, you'll see me using the Mangler a lot as my choice of weapon to melee with. There are two reasons for this. The first is that the Mangler's melee attack does slightly extra damage due to the blades on it. The second reason is that as a sidearm, the Mangler has one of the fastest melee speeds in the game. So, by utilizing the Mangler, some fusion coils, and my grapple nade combo, I was able to defeat Tremonius and his little jackal minions after a couple attempts. Come on! Yes! Let's fucking go! Putangina mo! This third mission, although short in length, was going to take me a while. I was tasked with clearing an LZ for a pilot friend to land on. The problem is that this place is swarmed with a bunch of enemies, so clearing this without shooting was going to be difficult. However, there's a nice way to bypass this. If you didn't know, there are 3 buttons hidden around the area that, when pressed, will trigger an airstrike to rain down on the enemies below, leaving me with nothing else to do but sit back and enjoy the show. Oh shit! Oh shit! Wait, that grunt's alive! Look at him go, he's living! Oh. The pilot then picked us up and flew us towards our next objective, the tower. It's at this point in the game where the world opens up and I'm free to explore the ring. Or at least this section of the ring. So, before I headed to the tower, I cleared a nearby forward operating base, or FOB, which revealed a couple things I needed. Securing the FOB revealed Spartan core caches that, when retrieved, enabled me to upgrade my abilities. I first focused on my shield strength since I was going to be taking a lot of damage. I then made my way to what would be one of the most important side objectives of this playthrough. Oreo Vagina Dude. Wait.
What did he say?
I'm sorry, what was his name again?
Akro Vagadoon.
Akro Vagadoon? Anyway, the reason why Oreo is so important is because the reward for killing him is a duelist energy sword, a unique variant of the normal energy sword that swings faster and increases your movement speed and jump height. And since swords don't shoot anything, I was allowed to use this weapon. So after I killed Vagina Dude and took his sword, I gathered a couple more Spartan cores, upgraded my grapple shot ability, and made my way to the tower. As I was fighting my way through the tower, I managed to free some marines who helped me take out the remaining forces that were guarding the place. He has a rocket launcher! Oh, we need to keep you alive, dude. We need to keep you alive. He didn't make it. Once in, I obtained the threat sensor, accidentally killed myself with fusion coils, and ran into our next boss fight, Shacklock. I wish I could say that Chaklock was a good challenge, but he really wasn't. The room you fight him in is littered with fusion coils, so I just yeeted those bitches at him and finished him off with my newly acquired energy sword. Yes! Dude, that was easy, bro. That was easy. After defeating him, I freed Spartan Griffin and left him in the tower to take a nap while I set out for the excavation site. Before heading there though, I made a stop at another enemy target by the name of Ignovis the Devourer. The reason why I bothered fighting him was because, like Oreo, he was holding on to a powerful weapon variant that would prove to be quite useful, the Volatile Skewer. Now, you're probably wondering why I would even need this weapon though, since I can't use it anyway. While that is true, there is an interesting feature in this game that would allow me to utilize this weapon effectively. As you progress in the story, Marines will start spawning at any fobs you unlock. Typically, they are only armed with standard weapons like the assault rifle or commando, but, like previous Halo games, you are able to swap weapons with them at any time. So, there is nothing stopping me from giving my Marines some kebab makers and wreaking havoc on any poor soul that crosses our path. But I quickly learned that utilizing my Marines more often would be a blessing and a curse. That's because while the AI is really good at fighting enemies, there is one adversary that they just can't seem to beat. No, don't you dare. Oh my. That's your own damn fault. Stupid. After getting over my disappointment, I collected some more Spartan cores to unlock a really important upgrade to my grapple shot. With this upgrade, I was able to perform a powerful melee attack while grappling that I fittingly dubbed the Grapple Pound. Not to be confused with the Ground Pound from Halo 5. Thank God that's not in the game anymore. And with that upgrade locked in, my decked out Marines and I made our way to the excavation site. Before walking into the inevitable ambush that would occur, I took it upon myself to destroy all shade turrets in the vicinity, so I wouldn't have to deal with them later. Then, I triggered the mining laser, and the ambush began. Thankfully, my Marines were able to take a lot of the fire off of me as I strategically and calmly picked off the enemies one by one. Oh. Then I had to destroy some power regulators in order to destroy the laser itself. Luckily, I am a skilled speedrunner at this game, so I utilized some of my speedrunning tactics to progress this portion with record pace. Y'all about to be so amazed how speedrun I am. Watch this. Speedrun!
Nope.
I missed! Y'all didn't see that? Speedrun!
Nope.
That's the wrong grenade!
Nope.
Speedrun! I missed again! Speedrun! Anyway, in the process of destroying the power regulators, I found 2 gravity hammers nearby, so I brought them with me just in time to face our next boss, Bassus. Luckily, this boss was really stupid. Wait, he's stupid. Okay, no, but really, he was actually pretty easy to beat once I figured out that I could just kite him through this window and then proceed to beat him down with the hammer. Boom! One take, easy. After flattening Bassus, I made my way into the conservatory, obtained the drop wall, and punched a bunch of enemies along the way. As I was punching my way through the conservatory, I ran into a slight problem. During these linear indoor missions, there's a slight chance that while performing the Grapple Pound ability, you can accidentally glitch yourself through the floor. And since Halo Infinite doesn't have a revert to last checkpoint feature, I was forced to restart the game and be placed back at whatever checkpoint it wanted to put me back to. It was kind of annoying, but I had no other choice. All I could do was hope it wouldn't happen again. After I progressed a little more through this mission, my chat and I celebrated my death counter. No, I died. Wow, that was so fast. All right, guys, here it is. Pause champ. Alright guys, I am not allowed to die anymore, otherwise the run is dead. And then that ended as quickly as it started. Oh fuck. That was short-lived. Eventually, I found myself in a large room and was introduced to skimmers. Fortunately, they weren't that hard to take down, as one grapple pound would kill them instantly. From there, I acquired the thruster and ran into another problem. 2 problems, to be exact. These beefy brute boys wielded scrap cannons that melted me like butter. One of them would constantly pursue me, while the other stayed in the middle of the room and peppered me from afar. Even though this encounter wasn't labeled as a boss fight, it sure felt like one. Let's just say this fight made me die. A lot. Fuck. Oh fuck! I was slowly starting to lose patience and was wondering if I could even beat them. But luck slowly started to come around for me. His teammate killed him! And then later, that same brute who killed his buddy ended up getting stuck in a trench, so I was free to yeet all the nades and fusion coils to kill him once and for all. Yes! Let's go! I'ma be honest, if those two things didn't happen, I probably would have spent another half hour fighting those guys. So I was just glad it worked out in the end. Let's just hope that there isn't another scenario where I have to fight two really strong brutes at the same time, where one shoots at me from afar and the other constantly chases me. Haha. I sent it back to the surface where we first encountered the Harbinger. She promptly beat our asses and then yeeted us back outside. Once outside, I realized that I was seriously underpowered after struggling against those two brutes. To alleviate this, I spent some extra time collecting more Spartan cores to get one more upgrade to my shields and the final upgrade to my grapple shot. Thankfully, I had my Marines to help me along the way. And then we get into a Razorback where no one dies. You heard that right. No one is gonna die, right, guys? There's no way you're... Oh my god, you're gonna die. Move! Move! You're fucking in... With my new upgrades, my Marines who were not crushed by Razorbacks, and I made a push for the Spire, some requiring more pushing than others, but eventually we ran into two more problems.
Hunters.
These guys are tanky sacks of worms and take a long time to kill. However, my Marines took out the hunters for me rather quickly thanks to their kebab guns. And since the Marines were doing such a good job, I wanted to see if the Marines could join me in the Spire. What if I push you in there? Oh! Wait, what? Oh, well, now we know at least. Saddened by my sudden lack of friends, I reluctantly went in by myself and was quickly introduced to this bish named Adjutant Resolution. After a little bit of convincing, he decided he liked me enough to lead me to the top of the spire, where he suddenly realized he did not in fact like me and then proceeded to try and kill me. In any other normal playthrough, Adjutant Resolution is one of the easier boss fights because all you have to do is shoot his glowy parts and then he explodes and you win. Yeah, not for me, because this bish caused me so many problems. For one, I was unable to grapple onto him, so the only way to deal damage with my grapple pound ability was to do it in close proximity to him, which leads to my second issue. He has a one-hit kill move that will obliterate me the second I try and get close to him. Not only that, but I needed to aim for his arms in order to deal damage. If I tried hitting any other part of his body, he would just completely ignore it. So let's just say I struggled a lot. And to make matters worse, this happened. What? This honestly was a blessing in disguise though, because once I reset the game, I had the idea to bring in one fusion coil with me before facing him. Even with this though, I still continue to struggle. How was I supposed to melee someone to death that would kill me the second I got too close to him? I was starting to get desperate, so during one run I had thought I had already failed. I just full sent it into him. Actually, just kill me. Just kill me. Wait a second! So, it turns out one swing from my sword was enough to destroy his arms. Doing so also made him stagger afterwards so I wouldn't proc his one-hit kill move. Knowing now that I had a chance, I swiftly took out his two bottom arms and threw a bunch of nades into his eyes when he was down. But then, I ran into another problem. The way that Energy Sword works is that if your reticle changes color, that means you're in range for the sword's lunge to kick into effect. 9 times out of 10, this is a good thing because that means you can quickly close the distance between you and your enemy. However, this was not the case for Adjutant Resolution. Since the center of his body is his main hitbox, every time I tried to swing my sword at the two arms above him, it would automatically lunge me to the center instead, which, like I said before, is completely invulnerable to any damage. His first two arms were easy to hit because they were close to the ground, but the other two arms were too high for me to reliably hit without risking instant death. I was in trouble again. No matter how I came at him, the sword would just lunge at the center of his body. I spent the next 15 minutes trying to figure out how to go about this, but then eventually, I found a solution. It turns out that Adjutant Resolution is vertically challenged, not with height, but with looking up. Anytime I grappled above him, he would kind of just float around and not react until I got close to him. So, after a couple attempts of trying to mount this metallic crab thing, this happened. Come on. Oh, there we go! Yes! Yes! We did it! Let's go! Upon escaping the spire with the pilot, we ended up getting shot down by 3 AA guns, so I had to quickly take care of that. These guns weren't too difficult to destroy though. A lot of it was just me completely ignoring the enemies guarding them and speedrunning through. Once all 3 guns were taken out, I made my way back to the pilot where I stumbled upon 2 beefy brutes. Oh god. The first one, Hyperius, spawns with a modified brute chopper that will shred you with energy blades if you get too close, and 2 strong autocannons that will melt you if you stand out in the open for too long. But if you manage to get him out of his chopper, don't worry, because his loadout consists of a pre-nerfed Ravager that will annihilate you instantly and a sniper that has aimbot. Tavares, on the other hand, will just shoot at you from a distance with a scrap cannon, because why not? I decided to deal with Hyperius first by trying to hijack him and kill him with his own chopper. After several attempts, I successfully hijacked and boosted into him once before he blew up the thing. I did get him pretty low after that hit though, so I just full sent it and threw a bunch of nades at him, and miraculously, he died. Now all that was left was Tavares. After scavenging the area for things to throw at him, I was able to get his health decently low, but I got greedy and he one-shot me unexpectedly. Almost as unexpected as what would happen next. You're joking! Apparently, I did not get a checkpoint after beating Hyperius, so I had to do that all over again. And let me tell you, it felt like Hyperius retained all memory of our last fight because I was just not able to replicate what I did the first time. No matter how many times I tried, he would just end up killing me before I had a chance to ram him once. Eventually, I decided to abandon the original plan and came up with a new strategy that was less risky. My plan was to try and stun lock him with my fully upgraded grapple pound ability, so that way I could whittle him down without having to worry about hijacking his vehicle. This worked for a while until one of my grapple pounds flipped his chopper, forcing him out. This was not ideal since we've already established how fast his Ravager is capable of killing me. But interestingly enough, my grapple pound ended up yeeting his chopper far enough away to where he wouldn't instantly kill me if I tried to get in. So I managed to escape him and get into his chopper safely. From this point on, I decided to just drive his chopper far away where he wouldn't be able to get back in and face him head on since he was already considerably low. In the process of doing this, I was blessed by the Halo gods and was given a checkpoint. Yeah! Sorry. Filled with determination, I slowly made my way to Hyperius, being extra careful to not get sniped by him. I stuck to the outskirts of the battlefield and was inching closer and closer to him until... Honestly, once I killed Hyperius, what the fuck? No! No, please don't... My game crashed, which means, you guessed it, I had to redo all of that, all over again. I probably should have given up by this point, but my stubbornness kept me going. This time around though, I decided I would try and do some research to see if there was anything available to me that could potentially leverage a victory. After looking at a map of the area, I discovered that there were potentially some energy swords near one of the AA guns. So I backtracked to where they were supposedly located, and lo and behold... Oh shit! With sword in hand, I went back to face Hyperius, and on my first attempt, this is what happened.
I don't even...
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Please. Please. Fuck you, bitch. With Hyperius down, all that was left was Tavares. I first decided I would take out the remaining forces that were scattered across the area, so once it was just Tavares and I whittled away at him. And just as the sun began to show itself across the halo, because that's how long it took me, I made one final push. Change of plans. I shot it through his legs. Come on! Yes! Yes! Oh my god. With that victory on my belt, I met back up with the pilot and we set out for the command spire. Of course, it was not going to be easy to get in. Before heading inside, I had to go to 4 different beacons and collect some data for the weapon to use to gain access to the spire. I hijacked a Banshee and used it to reach one of them. Before heading out to the others though, I made a stop at another target.
Sav Severin.
He was driving a Ghost when I arrived, but was obliterated after my skewer-wielding Marines took care of him. Killing him awarded me arguably the strongest weapon in the entire game, the Arcane Sentinel Beam. Giving Marines this weapon should be illegal because getting the rest of the beacons with them by my side was ridiculously easy. Not only were my Marines getting stronger though, but they were also getting smarter. Don't do it, don't you dare it, don't you Everyone actually walked away. I'm so proud of you guys, they're learning. Well, most of them, at least. With a renewed faith in my team, I set out to kill one final target, Engeddon. My Chad Marines demolished it without breaking a sweat, allowing me to wield his rushdown hammer. But finally, it was time to attack the command spire. I armed my Marines with their overpowered arcane sentinel beams, and I called in one final Razorback to make our final siege onto— No! Things never change, huh? Well, once we completely rolled through the front gates, I made my way to the base of the command spire, said goodbye to my Marine friends, and walked in. I was making decent progress through this mission, clearing room after room of enemies. Nothing was too challenging until I ran into a couple of hunters. Now, up until this point, every encounter I've had with a hunter was alongside Marines or completely avoided. Yeah, this was going to be difficult. After fighting them for a while, I had used up all the grenades and fusion coils at my disposal, so my only way of dealing significant damage was to grapple pound them. Okay, no big deal. I just had to chip away at them and— No, I glitched through the world. So with that, I was forced to reset the game and try again. Fortunately, on my second attempt, I got some lucky nades on one of the hunters and took it out with relative ease. It was the second hunter though that gave me some trouble. I did not have anything else to work with once again, so I reluctantly continued to grapple pound the hunter. And this is supposed to be the part where I stopped talking to show you how I ended up killing the hunter, but then during the stream, this happened.
Emotional, damn it!
By the time I found out that stream had effed, it was too late. I had already beaten the hunter after repeatedly grapple pounding it and running away over and over. So I hope you guys can just take my word for it so we can move on. From there, I found myself on a nice gondola ride. Or at least, that's what I wish it was. During this section, there are sentinels that will attack you as you ride the gondola across. Normally, this section is not that difficult because you can yeah, you can see where this is going. My first idea was to try and kill the sentinels quickly by grapple pounding each one by one, but they just disintegrated me instantly. I then tried to outlast them by hiding behind my shield, but apparently this gondola likes taking its sweet ass time. So that was not viable. But then I had the brilliant idea of trying to hide behind the gondola by constantly falling and grappling to save myself. And while that did work for a little bit, the sentinels eventually got to me. While doing this strategy though, I noticed there was a small platform underneath the gondola that looked like it had enough room for me to sit on. So I tried doing that. And surprisingly, this ended up working really well. It was almost too easy. But then I noticed something.
Wait, why are we going backwards? Wait, what?
It turns out it was too easy because there's a fail-safe mechanism built into this gondola. If the gondola doesn't detect that the player is standing on top of it, it will return back to where it was docked since it assumes you got left behind. This ended up being my downfall because now I was completely clueless on what I could do to get past these sentinels. I was stuck with no way to cross this pit. After beating my head against the wall for another 30 minutes, I got desperate and attempted the same strat of hiding underneath the gondola one more time. During this attempt though, I decided I would try something a little different.
Maybe you have to be like closer to the top or something? Oh, wait a second.
Yo! I think this is working. So apparently the area of detection that checks to see if you are still aboard the gondola was just low enough to where standing at the very top of the platform was high enough to detect me. So I was able to cruise along smoothly. I got my ass cooked a couple times after trying to escape the mass amount of sentinels that had accumulated, but it didn't take long for me to channel my inner Spider-Man and swing to safety. I eventually found myself in this large room where Chief almost deletes the weapon, she was not a fan of that. And honestly, I can't blame her. That's kind of messed up, Chief. After some awkward conversation, I progressed through the rest of the interior and ran into Adjutant Resolution. Again. This time around though, it was a lot easier since I had already figured out how to deal with him the first time. So after a couple attempts and some swings from my hammer, we killed him once more and ascended to the top of the command spire. This next part was very interesting. You get ambushed by 3 phantoms, so I was forced to fight these bitches head on. Luckily, there are skewers and rockets scattered across the battlefield for me to— oh. Yeah, this fight seems infinitely more difficult now, huh? Well, it actually isn't. While you can't grapple onto the phantoms directly, you are able to stand on them. So, by grappling off the top of the spire, I was able to propel myself on top of the first phantom. I hammered that bitch into the ground and did the same with the second phantom, but the third one was a little bit more tricky. See, with the first and second phantom, I had time to grapple on top of them without getting bombarded by the phantom's turrets. The third one, however, appears shortly after the second one, meaning I have no window of opportunity to jump on without being completely lit up by its turrets. This became a slight problem, so I resorted to trying and taking it out with the grenades on hand as well as the ones provided in the area. Nade after nade though, it didn't seem like it was dealing enough damage. I was starting to worry that I was not going to have enough grenades to take it down. It didn't help that I had also whiffed a couple nades in the process. Eventually, I was down to my last 2 plasma grenades. This is what ended up happening.
Let's go!
Once the final phantom was down, the weapon and the chief got into a little verbal scuffle, while our pilot friend got taken down by one of the Spartan killers. So naturally, the weapon instantly forgave Chief for trying to kill her, and we teleported to save him. The area that we teleported to was pretty uneventful. The only difficult part was having to deal with some more beefy brutes. Both were taken out pretty easily though, thanks to my hammer. I then sped through the rest of the level and made it to the road. Normally, you have to drive a vehicle through, well, the road in order to reach the House of Reckoning. But since I cannot shoot while in a vehicle, doing so would be a death wish. Instead, I opted for the scenic route. But it turns out 343 are smarter than that because there are enemies that enjoy taking the scenic route as well. Once I dealt with them, I hitched a ride on a brute chopper, sped my way past the rest of the enemies, and reached the House of Reckoning. The House of Reckoning started out pretty smoothly. Escharum tests you against waves of enemies in a sort of arena. These took a while to get past, but didn't have anything too challenging. So once I passed, I was led to my final test, the Blade Master himself, Jega Erdamnai. Everything else aside, I really love how this boss fight is set up, as it is genuinely unsettling and freaked me out the first time I played it. But this time around, I had a trick up my sleeve.
It worked! Easy.
With that man brutally defeated, I grabbed his Bloodblade and went on to face Escharum. Going into this boss fight, I really thought that he wouldn't be that difficult, but boy was I wrong. His first couple of phases are pretty straightforward. Throw grenades and fusion coils at him, as well as some sword swings to weaken him until he gains a shield. Destroy the power cores to break the shield, and then rinse and repeat. That part was no big deal. It was his final phase that really gave me a lot of trouble. During his final phase, he goes full on monk mode and runs at you with a super OP gravity hammer that will one-shot you if you stand around for too long. By this point, I had already exhausted all of my grenades and fusion coils, so I was desperately trying to find a way to deal with him. After dying over and over again,
He fucking yeeted a box at me! That's cheating!
I finally developed a strategy that could work. Since Escharum is constantly chasing us, I used this to my advantage by grappling over him repeatedly. Doing so would cause him to constantly run back and forth. Sometimes while doing this, he'll go for an attack which leaves me with a window of opportunity to grapple pound him. I then thrusted backwards twice to create some distance and then immediately grappled over him again. So with this strategy laid out, you'd think that it wouldn't take that long to accomplish. Well, the problem with this strategy is that even if I make one small mistake, I was dead. So I needed to execute this perfectly. And as you can see, doing so consistently is really difficult. I'd also like you to keep in mind that everything you've seen in this video up until this point was accomplished in one stream. So I was getting pretty tired and was ready to throw in the towel and pick it up another day. But a couple of people in my chat convinced me to keep going, so I did. At this point, I was determined to beat this entire game in one sitting, so despite my lack of sleep, I pressed forward. Compared to Escharum, all these enemies at the Silent Auditorium were incredibly easy. The only real challenge were 2 red hunters. Unlike the other hunter encounter though, I found a hidden energy sword in the room with the hunters, so using that in combination with a bunch of fusion coils and grenades in the room, I took out both the hunters after a couple attempts. After 16 hours of punching my way through this game, I reached the final boss fight, the Harbinger. It was also at this point that we reached 420 deaths, and I wanted to let that sit for a little bit longer. But anyway, Harbinger herself was surprisingly weak and took a lot of damage from my hammer. The difficulty came from the waves of enemies that would attack me in between fights with the Harbinger. The first wave, while challenging, I eventually got past after using this small piece of cover to take out each enemy one by one. It was the second wave where I ran into a true test of will.
Oh, fuck!
This brute chieftain constantly chased me and I was fearing for my life. At first, I tried doing a similar strategy that I used with Escharum, but the chieftain did not have the same mannerisms to Escharum, so that wasn't viable. I instead tried leading him to the staircase that had a small opening underneath it. I ran around that staircase for a while, getting some hits in here and there, but I was super nervous doing this because by this point, I had gotten rid of all other enemies in the area, so I was trying to be extra careful to not die and reset all my progress. But then it dawned on me. It was so unbelievably obvious, I have no idea how I didn't think about this.
Wait, I have a gravity hammer. I fucking forgot about that. Yes! Let's go!
And once the chieftain was out of the way, all that was left was to deal with the Harbinger.
I've been doing this for way too damn long, bitch! You do not know what I've been going through! Bitch! Sit the fuck down! You bitch! Let's go!
And with that final swing of the hammer, I had successfully beaten Halo Infinite on Legendary without ever firing a single weapon. All in one stream. Okay, I lied. It took 2 streams because the first stream effed again during the final mission, so I just picked it back up another day. Freaking internet, man. Anyway, if you enjoy my content, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you would have done differently if you were to attempt this challenge yourself in the comments below. Also, if you didn't already realize, I streamed this entire playthrough on my Twitch channel. So, if you'd enjoy a more live and interactive experience, make sure to drop a follow there as well. Link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.